Welcome to Arizona, the copper state. Copper is still extensively mined here, accounting for 2/3 of the nation's output. It's also home to the biggest hole in the ground we have ever seen, one of the world's 7 natural wonders. For an unforgettable encounter with nature, enter into the Painted Desert, where art comes to life. A broad region of rocky badlands encompassing more than 93,000 acres, this vast landscape features rocks in every hue, from deep lavenders and rich grays to reds, oranges, and pinks. It's like you've been transported into a painting. Located in northern Arizona, the Painted Desert stretches from the Grand Canyon eastward to the Petrified Forest National Park, with a large portion lying within the Navajo Nation. A natural canvas millions of years in the making, the area is evidence of the Earth's volatility. Home to some of the nation's most memorable formations and features. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, floods, and sunlight all combine to create the landscape. Deposits of clay and sandstone stacked in elegant layers that evoke the setting Arizona sun in an alternating display of colorful radiance. The Navajo and Hopi people have lived in this region for hundreds of years, but it was Spanish colonists who gave it the name we know it by today, El Desierto Pintado. Our first stop in the Petrified Forest National Park is the Painted Desert Inn, a 1930s adobe building which is today a museum. It's best known as a Harvey House. It was during this pit stop that I first became aware of the Harvey girls. You see, the Painted Desert Inn is a bit of a relic of the past, and it preserves a history of the famous waitresses who helped pave the way for a certain brand of civility in the Southwest. They brought the sensibilities, respectability, fine china, and world-famous sirloin steaks from back east to forsaken lands normally ruled by saloons and brothels. Fred Harvey was a restaurateur turned railroad man based in the Midwest. He frequently traveled by rail for his work and was dissatisfied with the service he found along the way. He began a restaurant and hospitality chain to change this pattern. Harvey envisioned his restaurants as the most refined restaurants in the American West. The rowdiness of his male waitstaff created a problem, so instead, he hired independent, hard-working young women. Newspaper ads offered well-bred ladies a fair wage, steady work, uniform, a place to live, and a ticket to ride. The thousands that answered came to be known as Harvey Girls and could be found at the many Harvey houses along the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad. Can you remember how you felt when you left home for the first time? A sense of adventure? The thrill of freedom? In the early 1900s, Fred Harvey offered many women such exciting opportunities through work in his growing hotel and restaurant chain. Our next stop is Newspaper Rock. This archaeological site is neither a newspaper nor a single rock. It is over 650 petroglyphs covering a group of rock faces within a small area. High concentrations of petroglyphs like this mark a place as hugely significant. Many generations of people saw these markings and contributed their own. The petroglyphs were created by ancestral Puebloan people living, farming, and hunting along the Puerco River between 650 and 2,000 years ago. Some of the ancient artists may have lived at Puerco Pueblo, located less than 1 mile north of this site. The village of Puerco Pueblo. A series of droughts in the 1200s during the Pueblo Fourth period led ancestral Puebloan people to move away from small scattered hamlets and instead build large communities. The village is a 100-plus room site located near the Puerco River, a major drainage that bisects the park. The river would have been a reliable source of water for crops. Farming of corn, beans, and squash took place on the floodplains and terraces along the river. The river also made a natural travel corridor, meaning travelers and traders frequented the village, carrying new ideas as well as goods. Unable to adapt to the climate change of the late 1300s, The inhabitants systematically abandoned the pueblo in search of a more suitable area. It was all but empty by 1380. Only the sandstone bricks, pot shards, stone tools, petroglyphs, and other artifacts and features remained to tell the tale of these ancient people. Beautiful downtown Holbrook, which is, of course, home of the Wig Wam Hotel. This hotel was the inspiration for the Cozy Cone Motel in Disney's Cars. The motels, also known as the Wig Wam Villages, is a motel chain built during the 30s and 40s. The rooms are built in the form of teepees, mistakenly referred to as wigwams. In case you were wondering, a wigwam is a semi-permanent dome dwelling used by several Native American tribes of the northeastern United States and Canada. A teepee is a tent traditionally made of animal skins upon wooden poles. Historically, the teepee has been used by some Native Americans in the Great Plains and Canadian prairies of North America. The chain originally had 7 different locations. 2 locations in Kentucky, 1 each in Alabama, Florida, Arizona, Louisiana, and California. They are very distinctive historic landmarks. 2 of the 3 surviving motels are located on historic U.S. Route 66. A flatbed Ford. That must mean we're in Winslow, Arizona, at the Standin' on the Corner Park. This public park commemorates the classic Eagles song, Take It Easy, which includes the verse, "Well, I'm a-standin' on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me." The park contains a 2-story mural by John Pugh, a flatbed Ford truck, and a bronze statue of a life-size man who's standing on a corner with a guitar by his side. In September of 2016, a statue was unveiled at the park in the likeness of Glenn Fry, who died earlier that year. Heading out of Winslow, with the sun going down, we started to look for a place to stay for the night. We're about to find a place where we'd watched one of the most spectacular sunsets of our trip. McHood Park would be camp for the night. The path of Route 66 through northern Arizona crosses little in the way of waterways, but only a few miles off the Mother Road near Winslow is a deep blue lake that carves through beautiful Coconino sandstone cliffs, enticing travelers to pull in and stay a while. McHood Park Lake, also known as Clear Creek Reservoir, is created by a dam on East Clear Creek, which backs up the flat water for nearly 2 miles. Camping in the desert is a wonderful experience, from the magenta skies at dusk to a ceiling of stars at night. And the mornings aren't too shabby either. Arizona is home to one of the most well-preserved meteorite impact sites in the world. Created around 50,000 years ago, the Barringer Meteorite Crater, better known simply as Meteor Crater, is a gigantic hole in the middle of the high plains of the Colorado Plateau, about 25 miles west of Winslow. This site is a national landmark. I thought that was just like a national park. It is not. Apparently, it is a government-authorized site which designates a property as having national historic significance, and these sites may be privately owned. As such, they are not part of the National Park Program. So much for my lifetime National Park Pass. A rim of smashed and jumbled boulders, some of them the size of small houses, rises 150 feet above the level of the surrounding plain. The crater itself is nearly a mile wide and 570 feet deep. Heading out from the Meteor Crater, we decided to go off-road and play on some of the red rocks along the sides of the road. It was just too hard to resist. I'm excited.
Oh, hi.
Like many an icon of Route 66, the Twin Arrows Trading Post has certainly seen better days. Situated on the side of I-40 in Arizona, the giant yellow Twin Arrows still remain, standing out as a beacon to bored drivers, but the store and diner have fallen into disrepair. Built in the late 1940s as Canyon Padre Trading Post, the store soon changed its name to Twin Arrows, seemingly inspired by the nearby town of Two Guns. It was then that the iconic wooden arrows were built and planted in the parking lot to guide motorists to the Trading Post stores. The post included a gas station, gift shop, and a Valentine's diner. Unfortunately, the creation of the nearby interstate led to a swift decrease in road traffic, and the Trading Post fell into decline. Twin Arrows operated under different owners as best it could until 1995, when it was finally abandoned. Next up was one of the most amazing stops of our trip, Grand Canyon National Park. The park's central feature is, of course, the Grand Canyon, a gorge of the Colorado River, which is considered one of the wonders of the world. In 2020, 2.9 million people visited the park. In 1903, President Theodore Roosevelt visited the site and said, "The Grand Canyon fills me with awe. It is beyond comparison, beyond description, absolutely unparalleled throughout the wide world. Let this great wonder of nature remain as it is now. Do nothing to mar its grandeur, sublimity, and loveliness. You cannot improve on it, but what you can do is to keep it for your children, your children's children, and all who come after you, as the one great sight which every American should see." Roosevelt's enthusiasm for the Grand Canyon helped lead to its incorporation into the National Park System in 1919. The primary public areas of the park are the south and north rims. The rest of the park is extremely rugged and remote. Phantom Ranch, a lodge built in 1922 at the bottom of the canyon, is considered one of the most difficult hotels in the United States to get reservations. Accommodations are offered 15 months in advance via a lottery system and usually sell out immediately. Though Native Americans lived in the area as early as the 13th century, the first European sighting of the canyon wasn't until 1540 by members of an expedition headed by the Spanish explorer Francisco Vázquez de Coronado. Interestingly, artifacts recently found suggest an interesting theory that Chinese expeditions of the early 15th century may have discovered the Grand Canyon long before Europeans in 1540. As we got out and approached the canyon, there really were no words. Unbelievable, magnificent, marvelous, wonderful, spectacular, remarkable, phenomenal, breathtaking, dazzling, amazing. Nothing in words captured the feeling you get when you see this wonder of the world. And incredibly, along most of the rim, there are no guardrails, fences, or anything else to keep people from going over. You can walk right out to the edge. And some Instagrammers, they got pretty darn close. We can't wait to get back there. There's so much more to see and to do. Stagecoach 66. Betty Boop. Welcome to Seligman, Arizona. Seligman was originally born as a railroad town encampment named Prescott Junction. Seligman was officially named in 1886 after Jesse Seligman, a railroad financier. The town successfully made the transition from railroad town to Route 66 town. However, when it was bypassed by the interstate in 1978, it suffered a devastating economic blow. Eventually, Seligman would use this setback as a catalyst to make a name for itself. In 1987, the town gained its name Birthplace of Historic Route 66 due to the efforts of Seligman residents, most notably Angel Delgadillo, the Seligman barber who convinced the state of Arizona to dedicate Route 66 a historic highway. This grassroots effort to bring Route 66 back not only revitalized Seligman, but it also caused worldwide interest in Route 66 and the old-fashioned Americana that it represents. The Snowcap Drive-In is a historic eatery and roadside attraction in Seligman, built by Angel's brother Juan, mostly from scrap lumber obtained from the nearby Santa Fe Railway Yard. Since 1953, the Delgadillo family has been serving up fountain drinks, burgers, burritos, malts, and a steady supply of comedy. You can still order the dead chicken or a cheeseburger with cheese, and watch out for the closed sign despite customers eating at the outdoor tables, and the fake doorknob on the entrance. This place is a load of fun, and I had the best cheeseburger I've ever tasted here. Really. Be sure to try it with the green chilies. Excellent. Arizona was an amazing state, one we can't wait to get back to visit again. But for now, it's onward to Nevada.